welcome back to some more reviews. The Explorer Report here, and welcome to my review on I think it's 2017, 2016. I actually didn't double check before I came on here, so I'll put the date of the release up here. But I want to say 2017 release of One Cut of the Dead. And this is a film that I've heard about for a while, but I knew zero details about the story or just zero about the movie. It definitely was a risk because it was a blind buy. So I was like, this can go either really good or really bad. So we'll see, because I knew nothing about the movie other than it was about zombies. And I do want to say this before I get into this review. If you haven't seen this movie, go watch it, then come back. I highly encourage that. I highly encourage you to go watch this movie, because with this movie's plot, I kind of have to offer that little spoiler alert very early on in the video, because it has one hell of a unique twist to it, and I love this movie. I really, really love this movie. I think it's one of the more unique and different and original zombie movies. I highly, highly enjoyed it, and I thought, it was great. So if you haven't seen it, it's on Shudder. Go watch it. Really, really well made. Then come back. But nevertheless, One Cut of the Dead is a movie that was very popular on Shudder. I know a lot of people were talking about it. I was hearing tons about this movie. And that's why when I seen they had a steelbook of it at Walmart, I was like, holy shit, they got physical media of this. So I picked it up pretty cheap. And I thought it was a pretty good steelbook. I mean, they got some decent features on there. You get a Blu-ray and DVD. It's designed pretty well. The features were decent, nothing really crazy, but it's pretty decent steelbook. And this movie, basically, to get into the story, you got a film crew. They are shooting a zombie movie. And then zombies show up, and it's a found footage movie. They are trying to get away from these zombies, but they're in this abandoned factory. So really, most of the doors don't lock all the way, and it's kind of, the doors are useless. You can't keep the zombies out. It's an abandoned factory, so they always find ways to get back in. And they're trying to survive that. And we get to the end of the movie where our lead chick is, thinking that she's bit, ends up not being bit, going through people are dying, the director's an asshole. And then the movie gets meta, and because about 40 minutes into this movie, it ends. And I was checking the time, and I'm like, what the fuck? 40 minutes? What the fuck? And then the movie gets meta. Movie one ends. Movie one, 40 minutes of this movie is a zombie movie. The last bit of the movie is meta. You find out that this story that they're doing is also a movie, and this guy is making low-budget films, and he decided to have this idea of, we're going to do this television broadcast and do a movie, a zombie movie, and have it be live broadcast. Because there was parts in the beginning of the movie where I was like, man, this looks weird, or it's edited weird, or shots go on a bit too long, and I had a lot of problems. I'll be honest, for first half of this movie, I wasn't a fan. Because the first half of this movie, it's a typical generic zombie movie, and I didn't think the effects looked that great, and I thought the editing was a bit shoddy, and I just didn't get it. I was like, this movie is getting this much praise? Like, it was literally a typical zombie movie with bad effects and pretty bad editing and pretty bad, shaky cam. It was purposely made like that, though. It's purposely done to seem like a bad zombie movie, a fun B-movie zombie flick that these people are all making. And, these are actors. You get to know some of the characters. Her character is likable in the first half of the movie, complete bitch in the second half. At least I think so. I think it's her character, because I know that the guy, the love interest, he was definitely a dick. But, it's interesting the fact that, in the first half of the movie, this guy's a minor character. this guy. But in the second half, he's in the movie a lot more. This guy is a complete asshole in the first half, but then the second half, you see him for who he really is. He's a nice guy, just making these low-budget horror movies. But the character he played in movie 1, that's how I'm going to break it up. Movie 1, he's an asshole director. Movie 2, he's a pretty decent guy trying to make a low-budget movie. And it's a very heartwarming, inspiring movie about people pulling together, and makeup effects won't work right, so they got to improvise. It's all live. So they have producers going up to the director and talking to him, and he's got to run over here and run over there and get shots set up, and people are missing their cues, so they got to improvise. And it just gets really meta and creative, and it gets into a heartwarming story of people making a low-budget zombie movie, and it works. The zombie movie ends up being a big deal and a success. If they have an issue with the final shot, the crane fell over where the camera was going to go onto. So they all do this sort of cheerleader thing where, you know, people get down and then people get on top of this person, on top of they make like a pyramid almost so that they can hold the camera on top and basically be like a crane to get the final shot of the movie. It's just it's a movie that just took me by surprise, because when that happened, I was just like, the movie kind of lost me. Like, this is a movie that at first I wasn't liking. This was going to be a rant. Because I was like, what is going on here? The effects don't look good. It just it seemed like a low-budget, generic zombie movie. And even when they did the whole twist of, oh no, it's meta, and this is also a movie. So it's a zombie movie about a zombie movie being made when real zombies show up, but this movie is also just a movie, and it gets even more meta with seeing how they made the movie. And the movie is called One Cut of the Dead, so it gets very, very meta. Very creative, but even then, I mean, the risk they took, because it lost me, and then it reeled me in, and it got me back, and then I realized how really clever and just very smart, very interesting, very original movie that this is. Because not many movies have completely lost me and then brought me back at the very last half of the movie. It's hard to do that. It's hard to freaking do that. But this worked. It was a risk. It was one hell of a risk. They had the balls and the guts to do that, because it was just me. But can you imagine audiences seeing this movie, thinking it's a zombie movie, and then you get a completely different movie by the end? It's a big risk, but it worked, and people love it, and I love it, and it's a huge hit, and I'm glad it did well. I'm glad it was a success, because, you know, almost like touche, tip the hat to the filmmakers, because that was clever, and I've never seen a movie that did this before. I haven't. It's very original. It's very well made. The second half is pretty well shot. Gets into more traditional filmmaking. It's no longer a handheld thing. It's more traditional. That's when it looks good. That's when I was impressed by the acting and the characters. And you just love certain characters. Like this guy ends up being a drunk when they're shooting the movie, but we don't know that while we're watching the first half of the movie. But you realize he's drunk, so the whole walking around and crazy stuff he's doing. There's one point where he throws up on somebody, and that wasn't scripted. So the guy's like, oh my God, what the hell? And has to rush in and do the makeup real quick. And just seeing them grind and make a movie. You loved this cast of characters, and you wanted to root for this movie to be made. And then, I almost felt bad for saying that this first movie was trash. Because I'm like, man, in the movie, they were busting their ass to make this movie. So in a way, it also makes you appreciate low-budget filmmaking more. Because, yeah, to the viewer, it's a typical generic zombie movie. But to them making it, it was a journey. It was a journey. And so it'll make you also sort of appreciate movies of a lower budget, and where the effects don't look great, the editing's not so great, and the direction is kind of eh. It'll make you appreciate it a lot more. So there's a lot of things this movie did. It's very creative. It's very original. It's very clever. It's funny. A lot of good comedy in there. The comedy worked. It's a very hilarious movie. And to do that, it's incredible. I've never had a movie where I wasn't a fan for the first half. I wasn't a fan. It lost me. I mean, it was kind of hopeless. I was like, this movie is not for me. It's generic, it's typical, whatever. But to reel me in and win me over, I gotta give the filmmakers props for that, and I gotta give the people involved props for that, because that is a ballsy move, and it worked. And I support this movie. I think it's wonderful. I think it's one of the best. I don't know if I can say it's one of the best zombie movies you'll see, but it's one of the best movies that have zombies in them that you can see. It's hard to describe because it's not really a zombie movie. I mean, there's zombies in it. Most of it, the first chunk of it is about zombies, but that's not really the core of what this is trying to do. However you want to look at it, it's a very well-made movie. It's a very extremely well-made movie, and it's done wonderfully. I think it's one of the better Shudder exclusives I've seen. And I want to say this before I leave the review and call today. I do want to say I support Shudder and Screambox exclusives, because I know a lot of people mentioned the Netflix exclusives and the Hulu ones and stuff and Paramount Plus. They're okay. I mean, most of the exclusives I've watched were either okay, decent, or trash. But Shudder, Deadstream, this, Skinamarink, Host, that was a good one. I watched a really good one on Screambox, like Time to Die, I want to say is what it's called. Time to Die, or I'll probably put it up here somewhere, what it was called, but I thought that was very well made as well. And I gotta say, the Shudder exclusives and Screambox exclusives blow the Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus stuff out of the water. Like, those are okay, passable, decent, but this is where it's at. If you want to get real creativity, this is where it's at. Dogs Don't Wear Pants. That's another good one from Shudder exclusive. That's a great movie. I hope they could do a release for that movie as well, because if they did a steelbook, I'd totally get it. I love that movie. But yeah, really good Shudder exclusive. Very well made movie. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 or a 4 out of 5. It's up there. Either or. It's a wonderful movie. It's a great film. It's a heartwarming film. It's an inspiring film. It's funny. The comedy works. The characters are pretty likable. And it's inspiring. It's inspiring. It's a heartwarming story. It's a very well done movie. But anyways, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. The Explorer 4 is out. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.